Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we'll be going over some problems in ratios and proportions. This first problem was taken from the 2018 AMC 8 number 1. An amusement park has a collection of scale models with a ratio of 1 to 20 of buildings and other sites from around the country. The height of the United States Capitol is 289 feet. What is the height in feet of its duplicate to the nearest whole number? For those of you who'd like to solve this problem on your own, please pause this video in the next 5 seconds. Alright, I'll begin to solve the problem now. So first we have to look at what the problem is asking for. In this case, it's looking for the height in feet of the duplicate of the United States Capitol to the nearest whole number. And it gives us a scale model ratio of 1 to 20. First, we have to understand what that ratio means. This 1 to 20 means that any building will have to be 20 times the height of its scale model. Take, for example, some building that is 20 feet tall. Since it has to be in a 1 to 20 ratio, we know that the scale model is going to be 1 foot tall because it's 20 times smaller than 20 feet. Likewise, if something was 80 feet tall, then its scale model would have to be 20 times less than it, so it would be 4 feet tall. Sometimes it's easier to visualize it from the base ratio, like 80 feet is 4 times greater than the base ratio, which means that the scale model would also have to be 4 times greater than the base ratio. Now that we have this proportion, we can use it to find the height of the duplicate. Before we do that, let's just define the duplicate's height as a variable. Let's call it x. Let x equal height of duplicate. It's important to just define variables just so that you can use algebra to find what you're looking for. Alright, so let's set up a proportion. The ratio of 1 to 20 is going to be equal to the ratio of the height of the duplicate to 289 feet. Why? This is going to be the height of the scale model, and this is the height of the real thing. Given that it follows this ratio of 1 to 20, this would mean that x must be 20 times less than 289, and 289 is 20 times greater than x. So what we do after this is cross multiply. So what we do is multiply 289 by 1 to get 289, and multiply 20 by x to get 20x. Whoops. Now when we simplify that by dividing both sides by 20, we end up with x is equal to 14 and 9/20. Now, that is the exact height in feet, of course, of our scale model. But our answer wants the height in feet to the nearest whole number. So all we have to do is recognize that 9/20 is closer to 0 than it is to 1. So rounded to the nearest whole number, the height of the scale model is going to be 14 feet. So your answer to this question would be A. Now let's move on to a different question. This one is from the 2020 AMC 8 number 15. Suppose 15% of x equals 20% of y. What percentage of x is y? Once again, for those of you who would like to solve this problem on your own, please pause the video in the next 5 seconds. Alright, let's start solving the problem now. The problem says 15% of x, so 15% of x is equal to 20% of y. And we want to find what percentage of x is y. Before we start this problem, it's important to note one thing, what a percent means. 1%, say 1%, is actually saying 0.01. Why is that? 100% of something is equivalent to multiplying something by 1. That makes sense because, let's say, if you want 100% of something, you're getting all of it. So if you're multiplying something by 100%, you're essentially multiplying something by 1 to get exactly 1 times of it. However, if you're multiplying something by a percent that is less than 100%, you're multiplying by a decimal that is essentially a percent, which means of 100. So 1% is going to be 0.01 just because it takes 100 100ths essentially to make 1. So what this 15% of x is essentially saying is that x multiplied by 0.15. And what 20% of y is saying is 0.2 multiplied by y. From here, we can just figure out what percentage of x is y by figuring out which side to divide by. So when it says percentage of x is y, it means that we want to isolate y. So let's do that. Let's isolate y. So to isolate y, we divide both sides by 0.2, 0.2, and then we end up with the fraction 3/4 x equals y. If you are unsure on how I did that, I just did 0.15 over 0.2, which is actually equivalent to, if we multiply the top and the bottom by 100, 15 over 20, which simplifies to 3/4. Now from here, we have our answer, but we need to change it to a percentage, because 3/4 times x is y. We know what fraction of x is y, we just need to change it to a percent. So 3/4, as many of you probably know, is 0.75x. So 0.75x is equal to y. Now from what I said earlier, we have to figure out how to change 0.75 into a percent. So how we do that is we multiply by 100, because we multiplied by 100 from 0.01 to get 1%, and we multiplied by 100 times 1 to get 100%. So 0.75 is equal to 75% of x, which is equal to y. So the answer to this problem would be 75, or C. Alright, I hope you learned how to use percentages or proportions and ratios in this video. Thank you so much for watching.